Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Roto NBA Daily Fantasy live stream. I'm Davis Maddock, even though the graphic right now says that I'm Andrew Barron. I imagine he'll come in and fix that at some point. I am here with Christopher Pacheco. We are here to break down the NBA DFS slate for tonight. Really, Pacheco, this is what we're dealing with. Giannis is doubtful. Kristaps is a rest candidate. Maxi Kleba is questionable, but I believe he played last night, unless I am mistaken. Yusuf Nurkic is questionable. You're probably projecting him in. I would expect probably that he would not play. Mason Plumlee is questionable. Mike Conley is a rest candidate. I saw Kyle Kuzma being listed as probable and then being listed as questionable. Yeah. So, again, I would expect him to potentially be a rest candidate or an out candidate tonight. And then Zach LaVine is probable. But that doesn't even really get at the big story of the slate. The big story of the slate is that the Toronto Raptors have 8 bodies available. Fred VanVleet has been suspended. DeAndre Bembry has been suspended. And they are going to be without Kyle Lowry, Rodney Hood, Paul Watson. Let's see who else is out. McCaw is out. And so that's it. So they have 8 guys. No point guard. Not even a fake point guard, Pacheco. They don't even have DeAndre Bembry to play fake point guard. They have Malachi Flynn, who's really more of a combo guard, I guess, in my opinion. So I think we should start here. I think we should talk through what to do with Toronto and MME, what to do with Toronto and cash, what to do with Toronto in single entry. So how are you viewing the 8 guys they're going to have active?
Well, I'll tell you what, Davis, this slate was really challenging to finalize. And I'm telling you right now, we're not even through it. Just no way. Things are going to happen that we're not expecting. I can almost guarantee it. So be prepared. Certainly be prepared for chaos tonight on this 7-gamer. As it comes to the Raptors, yeah, it's great that we got the news, right? Great that we got the news here. You mentioned Malachi Flynn as really, one of the only guys that can dribble the ball and kind of play point guard type.
Yeah.
They have him. And I would assume he's a pretty darn good candidate to start, but honestly, it's just not going to even matter. If he didn't start, he's still probably going to have to play 30-plus in this one because of the 8 guys that they have. So we know for sure Siakam's going to start, Nunaby's going to start, Trent Jr. is going to be in there. And then Boucher, who has been starting lately, I think is also going to start tonight. And then it's just a matter of, are they going to start Flynn or someone like Stanley Johnson? I think that's what it really
Which, by the way, I think they're going to start Stanley Johnson. And I think that Gary Trent Jr. will be the primary ball handler on offense, and Siakam is going to initiate a ton of the offense. What's interesting though is Gary Trent Jr. 34, 31 minutes back-to-back nights. He's been awful, Pacheco. He was better when he was getting easy looks from Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. So the 2 games before the suspensions and the injuries, 36 minutes against Oklahoma City, 31 real points, 40 DK points. The blowout game against Golden State, 30 minutes, 24 real points, 40 DK points. And then the 2 games without Fred VanVleet and without Kyle Lowry, 31, 34 minutes, didn't top 22 DK points in either one of those. I don't think it'll matter that much to ownership probably, but if Gary Trent Jr. is going to be the lowest rotation owned player, so lower than Siakam, lower than Anunoby, lower than Flynn, lower than Boucher, I would want to be piling on Gary Trent Jr. and MME tonight, I think.
Yeah, I certainly have some interest there. I have some interest. I don't know if I am as interested as you are, but I have interest in MME for sure. I think the pricing kind of flipped on these sites tonight. Toronto, I think, is just way more playable on DraftKings than it is on FanDuel. Outside of Siakam and Boucher, who are priced at a level that you can certainly hammer them. But Nunaby is 8K on FanDuel. Flynn is 6K. Trent is 6,700. Stanley Johnson 4,400. He just doesn't do enough, in my opinion, to really meet that tag. So it's a real challenge over on FanDuel outside of a couple guys, but DraftKings priced them like Flynn is 4,700. Certainly playable. Boucher 5,700. Siakam 85. Even Anunoby at 7K. I think is interesting because he's going to have to play 36, 37 minutes at the spot. So at the end of the day, Davis, it's 8 guys. So it becomes way easier to project minutes for this team tonight.
Right. So I where I would end with Toronto is I think in MME I would run min 2. And I think the ones that are most interesting to me in single entry are Flynn, Trent Jr., and OG Anunoby. I think that Siakam is at a price tag now where even if he gets up 21 shots, even if he initiates the offense, every minute he's out there, you're still talking about like 40, 45 points kind of being his median. And that makes him a good play, but I don't think it makes him a stone cold slam dunk. And I think there's a little bit more upside with Anunoby, who is $1,500 cheaper, doesn't have the same offensive upside, but has stock upside, rebound upside, things like that. So with Anunoby, it's like if he scores 21 real points, it's a lot easier for him to get like 50 DK points because of all the other stuff he adds. So that's where I'm at. Let's go ahead and get to our game by game. First game, Lakers versus the Heat. Huge spread here. I'm not interested in any players for Miami. Butler, maybe an MME, a sprinkle. Adebayo, a sprinkle in MME. I guess the one guy you'd be interested in single entry would be if Kyle Kuzma does not play, Markieff Morris at 5,000, and maybe Schroeder, right? Maybe Schroeder at 7,000, but even Drummond is really not that interesting to me unless they would play Trez and Drummond together, which I don't think they would do.
Is that because you think the minutes upside is a problem?
I don't think he could play more than 26. I think I think 26 seems like a stretch. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's wrong? Do you think I'm too low?
No, because I mean, especially if Kuzma plays, like they're probably not going to experiment. I would just play Drummond and Harrell, the full 48 center minutes. I don't think you're going to get anything weird there. As far as how much minutes he can play, I'm also not very sure because we haven't seen him. We haven't really seen him play with his team, and we haven't seen him play meaningful minutes in quite some time now. But could he play 28-ish? Probably. Probably like a 28-20 split between those guys is doable for him. But I think the main point on Drummond is the price tag. On FanDuel, it never moved. It's still 5,200, and on DraftKings, it's 6,500. It's a new team for him, completely new environment. So I do wonder how the rates are going to shake out for him. But essentially, every stop he's made throughout his NBA career, he's been able to put up some pretty big rates, Davis. So I'm not too concerned about that. I do like the price tag on him. I hate the total, obviously, in this game. Miami, they're going into Miami without LeBron, AD, and the main guys. It's going to be really tough for them to put up points. So I think that is a legitimate concern in this one, given that they have a 98 team total.
Yeah. All right. I have nothing else to say about this game, so let's go ahead and move to Chicago at Toronto. Are we looking at Chicago guys as bringbacks? I don't think you need to. I think that Vucevic and Levine are killing each other's rates, right? I think that they are really limiting each other's ceilings because Vucevic not a big assisting guy, Levine not a big assisting guy, so it's just kind of a lot of those guys getting their buckets. But are you looking at anyone being super interesting as a bring back for the Raptors?
Well, if you're playing 3 Raptors, you got to bring someone back at that point.
I think if you're playing 3 Raptors, including Siakam, you do. But if it's Flynn, Stanley Johnson, Boucher, Anunoby, I don't think you do. But Siakam is the one I would think is the bring back one.
Yeah, this is the slate size too to do it in terms of it's 7 games. Are things going to get out of hand tonight? Yeah, they will in terms of value opening up elsewhere. But I think that you can turn this one into a game stack. But as far as who you're bringing back from Chicago, yeah, you're right. It's not that easy. Vooch 9,100 on DK. Zach is 8K on DraftKings. I like the price tag so much more on FanDuel at 7,200. So DK is making it a little bit difficult to bring someone back here. Satoransky, Kobe White. I certainly don't think I would do Sato at 52. If I was to do one of the point guards, it'd probably be Kobe White at 4,200, and his rates just haven't really been great lately either. Davis. So this one's really tough on DraftKings. My guess is probably be Zach at 8K, who you'd bring back. Vooch at 9,100 is expensive. But can you do it? Yes. I think you can do both those guys. Not together, though. I'd only do one of them.
Yeah. All right. Cleveland, Oklahoma City. Cleveland total of 111. Oklahoma City 107. We actually have Sexton, Love, Garland, Dean Wade, Hartenstein, and Taurean Prince all coming through as semi-decentest values on DraftKings because of Oklahoma City has a bad defense. They turn the ball over a lot. We have an 18% projected ownership on Hartenstein. Feels egregious to play an 18% owned Hartenstein, and I don't think you need to now with the Raptors value. And I'll just say right now, someone else is going to end up as a value. Someone else is going to end up sitting. Someone who we don't have on the injury report right now is going to be out. I think 4,400 for Hartenstein seems bad. Honestly, I think 6,500 for Garland seems bad. I think 5,800 for Kevin Love sounds bad. I mean, it's just one of those things where we're going to get news over the rest of the night, and I just do not love any of these guys.
Yeah, so Hartenstein, I really liked this play the other night, Davis, when it didn't have ownership and was like similarly priced. Now with ownership, I don't understand it. Like he is coming off of one good game. Sure, he closed in that game. Sure, but none of those things are guaranteed to happen again. He's not starting. And the 2 games previous to the one that he had a good game, he played under 20 minutes. So that one, to me, agree with you, seems pretty egregious on the ownership side and probably won't stand given the level of value that we'll have later. I think Garland, I'm a little bit more into than you on both sites. But if it's going to get owned, essentially, if anyone in Cleveland's going to get owned tonight, just because they're playing OKC and are favored, I'm not going to be interested, frankly. Yeah.
Okay. On the Oklahoma City side, Dort still out, Shea still out. I believe Pokasevsky is also questionable for this game. Yeah, he's probably closer to a legit Q because there's no reason for him to play in this game. Yeah, he's got a hip injury. I mean, I would just think that Oklahoma City really would like to keep him healthy. He's 6'11", but weighs like 190 pounds. Like, they don't need that dude out there taking shots. If Poku does not play, I would imagine Kenrick Williams is the biggest minutes and usage beneficiary, although they'll probably start this Jalen Horde fella from the G League. I mean, what a mess. What a mess Oklahoma City is. But Kenrick Williams would be in play. But other than that, I don't think anyone else is in play.
Yeah, well, it's a good matchup against Cleveland. It's a really tasty matchup. But second night of a back-to-back here for this team. You mentioned Poku. He got hit yesterday and whatnot. Still played a good amount of minutes, but now that's a concern. And by the way, we don't have an injury report from Oklahoma City today. They haven't submitted it yet. So
classic Oklahoma City.
So we have all these guys out on our sheet that are looking as out because they've been out for quite a while.
Forever. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they play tonight. I legitimately don't know what to tell you on Oklahoma City.
Well, so I'll say this: if Dort is back from the concussion protocol and starts, he will be playing point guard
Yeah.
Theo will be playing off ball because they did this before Dort was in the concussion protocol. They were like, look, dude, you figure it out. And that is not really a part of our data set at all. That's not going to be captured by ownership. I'm not even being like a homer right now. He actually would have a ceiling way more than what his price tag shows.
Yeah, I mean, we had already started to like boost his rates because we saw what was happening there after SGA got hurt, and it was going through Dort. A lot of this was going through Dort. So I certainly don't think you're being a homer. I think he would be in play if he was able to play. And if he's able to play, I imagine he'd start. If he doesn't start, I think that's kind of saying, hey, he might be under a minutes restriction or something like that. But that's complete speculation. Dort hasn't played in a bit. Neither have a lot of these guys on OKC. We know SGA is just not going to play for a good while. So that one's easily to assume that he's not going to make it tonight. But this one's tough on DraftKings, Davis, because no one's really showing up as a value on OKC. Okay, so let's just say Poku does play, but none of the other guys play, and we have this exact same like rotation when we finalize OKC later. I think Maladon might be worth a shot at 5,300 on DraftKings. Same on FanDuel. He has essentially the same price tag over there. I think Moses Brown, now that the price tag came back down a bunch on FanDuel, is interesting. And then Svi on FanDuel's 3,800, your boy. On DraftKings, I don't think you can click that button at 5,600.
Yeah. All right. Milwaukee, Dallas, Giannis, doubtful for this game. We're projecting him out. Drew, Middleton, Portis are all jams. I have nothing more to say than that. They're all jams. I think that min one Milwaukee Bucks is a pretty decent rule for MME. Do you like Holiday or Middleton for single entry better?
Oh, I like Holiday. I like Holiday. If it came down to those guys, it's going to be Drew for me. By the way, we have no, like, Giannis he's been in and then ruled out. He's been probable and ruled out. He's now doubtful. We actually have no idea what's going on there. The Bucks have provided no insight as to what's going on with them. So it's really tough to, right now, like, have a lot of faith on that team. This is one of those things, Davis, where I wouldn't even be surprised if, like, he ends up playing or something later. I know it sounds kind of dumb because he's doubtful, but he was probable the other night, and I think that burned a lot of people because of the fact that was one of the games that locked last. I think it was the game that locked last, and he was one of the premier studs on that slate. So, if he plays, then that's going to really screw up Drew and Middleton is the thing. So, and Bobby is just not going to be a play anymore. Whereas right now, he is absolutely a play if Giannis sits and he starts. If he doesn't start, I think that's certainly going to bring his projection down.
Yeah. All right. Dallas, Doncic. He's just killing me, Pacheco. He is just killing me, man. He seems like he can't get over 60 anymore. What's the deal?
Yeah. Well, I took a pretty big stance on his assist rate moving forward because he really isn't going into the 45-50 range that he was going to before. He's now in the 35-40 range. And on the season, he's been at 44, but I'm starting to just bring that down myself. I'm not really trusting it. His usage has been pretty awesome, Davis. Even with Kristaps in there or not in there, his usage has been, right around 37, 39% for a good bit now. So that's great, but he's not really doing much of the other stuff. And I know that you play mostly on DraftKings. You need the triple doubles too, and he's not doing that. And that is absolutely going to affect his performance, his fantasy performance. So certainly some questionable stuff going on with Luka. Andrew suggested that perhaps he might just be playing through something right now. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
That's possible. Yeah.
It's not the craziest thing I've heard. It's the second night of a back-to-back too. So yeah, it's a tough context.
Now, if Zinger rests tonight and Kleba doesn't play, obviously we know it's the Boban show. Is there any big move if Zinger doesn't play and Kleba does? I mean, Kleba is fine. Probably just like we'll see, specifically against Milwaukee because of the way they line up. We'll probably just see like 42 minutes of Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah, we will, aren't we? And he's 5,200 on DraftKings. You can't play
he's
him.
way
you just can't play him. So thank you. And 5,700 on FanDuel. So they just essentially made the decision for you. Kleba didn't play yesterday, and we've seen Melly get in there and get some starts.
So bad. Nicolo Melli's so bad, dude.
I know. It's essentially, it feels like Maxi Kleba part 2, right? Like just for fantasy, just useless. No matter how many minutes goes there. And Kleba himself, if he plays and Porzingis doesn't, we've seen that story before, Davis, and it just doesn't work for fantasy. So it feels like it's Luka or bust. And even Luka himself right now is, I don't know, we'll call it a funk on the opportunity. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. All right. Next game, Detroit-Sacramento. Detroit is, they're just committed to playing the most annoying rotation in basketball. So this is their guard rotation. 26 minutes for Josh Jackson, 24 minutes for Killian Hayes, 17 for Corey Joseph, 14 for Saban Lee, 15 for Wayne Ellington, 13 for Frank Jackson, 5 minutes for Dennis Smith Jr. I believe Rodney McGruder is questionable now. He's been out for the last, week or so, 2 weeks. He's now back and questionable. Their forward rotation, and keep in mind, this is no Jeremy Grant. So their best player, their highest usage offensive player, the aforementioned Josh Jackson, Hamidou Diallo, Sadiq Bey, Sekou Doumbouya, and I think this Tyler Cook fella is going to be active as well.
Yes.
Even with literally their best offensive player, their highest usage offensive player, I don't want to play anyone from this team. Maybe Killian Hayes in GPP, maybe Hamidou Diallo, maybe Josh Jackson. I think you can use those guys in MME. I would not play them in single entry. And then if Mason Plumlee rests, because literally what's the point of Mason Plumlee playing in these games? Isaiah Stewart becomes a super sick center play at 4,100. But, it's just so gross.
Oh, he's power forward eligible on FanDuel as well. So
there we go.
Stewart he's gonna get some massive ownership if we don't see Plumlee out there. The guy that you meant to say, I think, was Jahlil Okafor in terms of a new Q for Detroit, because Magruder's out.
Okay.
But now Jahlil Okafor, who hasn't played in, honestly, dude, I don't know. It's been.
There's no way he's been active this year, has he?
He has. He played some games earlier in the year, man.
That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, he played games in January and then got hurt and didn't play again. So he's been out for months, literally. Cannot imagine that he goes back in there and plays a meaningful role, but maybe he can back up Isaiah Stewart.
Just enough to tilt, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. If not, it's like Tyler Cook plays 20 minutes. Like, make no mistake about this. You see Jeremy Grant out and your eyes are kind of like fixated on, hey, there should be some value here. Nah, I don't trust this. I've been touting don't play Detroit because they've been playing like 13, 14 guys a night. Tonight's not going to be any different with Jeremy Grant out, but I do think, taking some shots on Josh Jackson, who might end up being chalky, and that one just scares the hell out of me.
If he's 15% owned or whatever, I don't think you can play him. I think that you could play Killian Hayes, and I think that you could play Hamidou Diallo, because I don't expect either of them to approach 10% or whatever. But that's all I would do, I think.
I mean, listen, I'd be interested in Sadiq Bey too. Rookie.
Yeah.
I have interest in that. And he's 4,300 and a guy that can certainly give Detroit a boost with Grant out. And then I see his ownership in the double digits, and I'm just like, people are playing this like Detroit's playing 8 guys tonight. This isn't the situation in Toronto, right? It's not the situation we saw yesterday in Indiana. These dudes are still going to play their 13 dudes. And for DFS, that's just awful.
Yeah, it is. All right. The Sacramento side, no big injuries there. De'Aaron Fox continues to be Our projections love him, think he's a great leverage play. Rashawn Holmes is, as long as Bagley has not been in, Hassan Whiteside will still get like his 18 minutes or whatever, but if Holmes is playing well, he can get to 35, 36 minutes, whereas we have him projected for 32 and a half. So basically he can get, kind of a half an extra rotation in there, which ends up mattering. But the Kings are actually significantly better than the Pistons at this point. So it's just like, I don't know. They're not really that interesting. I mean, this is a 7-point spread. So, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's such a good matchup for the Sacramento guys. Unfortunately, they just don't have like good tags on DraftKings outside of Fox, who's also priced mostly appropriately. Rashawn's out 7,600. He's been in the 7K range for a good bit now, but 6,500 on FanDuel for Rashawn. That's pretty nice. Halliburton, a guy that doesn't have a massive ceiling. He's okay. He's actually a pretty good cash game play. It's just that now he's priced, pretty appropriately. But he's pretty darn consistent. But as far as guys that can get a ceiling, Holmes, Fox, Barnes, I think is decent on both sides, and then Whiteside, Davis, I think is also pretty intriguing in this spot. It's a really good spot for these centers. And I think Holmes is a guy that gets in foul trouble sometimes, and Whiteside benefits from that directly. And he's priced in the fours. He's just 4K on DraftKings. So I thought that one stood out to me as a pretty good MME play.
Yep. All right. Phoenix, LA. No, I mean we don't have anyone even close to playable on Phoenix because everyone is priced appropriately. They disperse their touches like literally equally. Like it's like your turn, my turn between Booker, Paul. Ayton is no longer discounted. Bridges isn't discounted. Crowder's back. Cameron Johnson is playing. Cameron Payne is getting his minutes off the bench. I mean it really there's just no one here. There's just nothing really that makes these guys playable.
I don't dude. Did you yesterday in that game against Utah? They get overtime and end up doing well. Like a lot of these guys ended up doing well, especially the studs. Don Mitchell went off, Booker did well, Paul did well. It's just so annoying when they get there because logically speaking, these guys are just priced at a level where you really can't play them on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, I guess because sometimes it's just a pick'em site with their prices. It's annoying that they get there, but yeah, again, prices are really appropriate here. I'm just not really interested on Phoenix. I know that this is going to be a good game environment. It should be a competitive game for sure. These teams have things to play for from a seeding perspective, but doesn't do it for me, Davis. Not on the Phoenix side. Yeah.
All right, Clippers, Kawhi, PG. Ivacha, Zubac, all of them are playable on DK. Paul George probably has the most room to get into the high 40s, low 50s, if he just has a good shooting night. Yes. This is a super important game for seeding. So these guys could go from being 34 minutes to 38 minutes, stuff like that. Yep. So I think that both Kawhi and Paul George are pretty strong plays tonight because I think they're kind of settle in that 13 to 18% ownership range, and I think they're probably a little bit better plays than that ownership would indicate.
Yeah, I agree with that. Slow paced game for the Clippers because Phoenix does play slow and just half court. They like to play half court a lot. Their offense is just a half court offense. That's really good, but it's slow for DFS. But I'm in agreement with you on Kawhi and Paul George. Certainly playable on FanDuel. Their optimal percentages are pretty good, and there doesn't seem like their ownership is going to catch up. So I'm interested there. Zubac, it's a matter of if he gets the last rotation or not, Davis. If he doesn't, it's 23, 24 minutes. If he does, it could be 30. So I think that's semi-interesting in tournaments. But there's probably going to be more center value later, and this is a guy that's probably not going to get played much.
Yep. All right. Final game, Portland, Utah. Portland team total 113, Utah 119. Our modeling loves CJ McCollum. I think it's pretty easy to see why. He has had a real impact on Damian Lillard's rates. We actually have those guys projected very closely together.
Yeah.
But we have, we have McCollum as one of the better leverage plays of the slate. Utah obviously would open up because Jordan Clarkson is doubtful. Mike Conley is a rest candidate.
Yeah.
So that would leave huge minutes, huge usage, huge role for our guy, Joe Ingles.
Yeah, it would. The Utah side, we definitely want to confirm the Conley thing because he is a rest candidate. But at the same time, it's a good game environment. Conley has played in back-to-backs, but it was earlier in the season. After that, he just hasn't played a back-to-back. So that's why we have to confirm this. But with Clarkson out, essentially, I'm hopeful that they just say, hey, Conley, go in there and, give us this back-to-back at least. Even if that's the case, though, Davis, I think Clarkson out is already enough for Ingles to be interesting. We're already projecting him for 30.5 minutes. Yes, the Conley thing would certainly impact his minutes and his rates because his rates are just okay right now, but they would get boosted in the event that Conley was out. So I think he's already interesting with the potential for to be even more interesting. Mitchell is – I don't understand what happened. I don't get what happened here, man. Yesterday he was like over 9K on FanDuel. He's 7,800 now. Now he's 8,600 on DraftKings as well. Like some really, really good price tags in Don. I know it's a back-to-back, but
he's a kid though. Donnie's voice 26.
I know he's super young. He's young, so he should be okay. But look, man, I love the price tag, love the opportunity, especially with Clarkson already not being available here. Think he's a fantastic play, but it's gonna come with plenty of ownership. Same with Rudy. He's probably gonna get some ownership too, but not as much as Don.
Yeah, and Claff, he mentioned Bojan Bogdanovic, who actually might get a little bit overlooked here. I mean, he played 40 minutes last night, 34 minutes the night before. He's got huge minutes upside. They close with him. They like him over Royce O'Neal because he's actually like a good offensive player. And actually, by the way, in this matchup against Portland, well, maybe they would want Royce's defense against Norm Powell. I don't know. I guess that one seems close. I don't know if they would go with Royce or if they would go with Bojan. That pretty much feels like a coin flip. But if they do go with Bojan, to close, he's got insane minutes upside.
Yeah, I think the main thing to say with Bojan, I do like the matchup here for Utah. Not that has impacted them a lot this year because they've just been a buzzsaw, but Portland is not very good defensively, and Bojan's one of those guys that if he gets hot, right, that's what you need. He needs to get hot from downtown and score like 25 real-life points for you to get a ceiling out of that. If it doesn't happen, you're not really getting a ceiling out of him unless you're running hot on everything else, and that's just typically not the case for him. But I do think that makes him interesting in a good matchup, potentially overlooked. Price tags are just okay there, so that's probably why people aren't really touching him tonight.
Yep. All right, there we go. We got through all the games. Definitely plenty of news to come down. Gotta wait to know on Giannis. Gotta wait to know on Staps and on Kleba. Gotta wait to know on Mike Conley. So there is a lot going on tonight, and Pacheco will be on top of it. The projections will be worked on and massaged and finessed, and we'll be back tomorrow. Everyone, good luck tonight.